it is my birthday. So happy birthday to me, right? And that's actually weirdly one of the things that connects us all as human beings. We each have a birthday. And so by that extension, I'm sure you inevitably get asked, what do you want for your birthday, right? I certainly do. And as I get older, for me, that's a little bit tougher to answer because, when you're younger, okay, maybe a super soaker or something like that, like a toy, whatever it is, video game, that might be what you want. As I get older, in terms of how I spend my birthday, I want it to be more experiential in the sense of, like, this year we did an escape room with my friends, right? Like that is more fun to me than a night out of drinking or something like that. But all the same, in terms of what an actual gift is, yeah, it's a little bit harder to pin down in that sense. And that's why this year I posted on my Instagram page various authors that I know personally and said, hey, if you want to support me, support them. And I still stand by that, because the greater sentiment is the idea that we should support, the people in our lives, but also just artists in general if we like their work. And so for me, I like their work, and so that's a way of supporting them. And by extension, if you appreciate what I do, supporting them is just kind of an all-around goodwill sort of effect, right? This awesome ecosystem, if you will. Well, those are all well and good, but, still people are like, yeah, but what do you really want? Okay, so that's what this is all about, right? What do I really want? Well, what I really want is the full funding for my animated feature film, The Arbiters, so that way I can be off to the races and making them. Now, that's a big budget, so it's not like, sadly, the people in my life can just deliver that. But also, it feels oddly selfish to say that because it is so grandly ambitious and so forth. And especially in the day and age that we live in, with so many people struggling and stuff like that, like to just say that, feels a little insensitive. Well, I can say that and justify it because ultimately what it really is about, yes, it's my vision and it's my movie, but creatively, with the full funding, we would get to employ various people that I want to work with, right? And so it would continue art in a sense, right? I know that sounds, I don't know if verbose is the right word or whatever, but it is altruistic in that sense, but it's also not untrue that if we did have the funding, then we could, pay a good chunk of artists to be able to work on something. So that's why it doesn't feel selfish, right? And I think, too, it speaks to a broader sense that we're always kind of taught that art is selfish, but it's not, right? In terms of like movies that I see and that I talk about, it's just incredible how, like, this idea that we all want to be seen, right? And stories allow for us to see ourselves within other cultures and, just create a community and connect, right? Like, that's the best of any type of storytelling, whether it be, or just art in general. Like, music connects us, film connects us, stories connect us, yada, yada, yada. So, no, it doesn't have to be this selfish thing. But going back to what I talked about, like, that seems odd to say because it's such a lofty goal, right? Well, how can you or anyone else really help out with that, right? That becomes the question. Well, continue to support me and what I do, right? The episodes that I put out as podcasts or in video form on YouTube, continue to consume them, and comment, like, and especially share, right? If there's something that you like and you think someone would benefit from it, share it with them so that way I can be a resource to them. Like, it is funny how many times people in my own life that I know, artists, they'll ask a certain question like, hey, do you know how to do this? Or do you know, could you recommend something? And 9 times out of 10 times, I just literally send them a link to my YouTube video. Like, that's part of the reason why I do this is so that way, all the questions in my life that I get asked, I can just make it easier to answer for the people in my life, right? So if there is something beneficial, share it, right? The next sort of tier of that would be to, I've made 2 feature films and I've written 2 books. They're both on my website, or all the things are on my website, and there's links to there to be able to get them, right? Now, as far as the movies, so my first movie is called Love Market. The second one is called Finding Love in Bogota. And both are available for free on Tubi. Tubi is a free streaming platform. And the reason why it's free is because, like kind of old school TV, you have commercial breaks, right? And what's crazy is that the commercial breaks aren't just random, which YouTube tends to do for videos, and it can be annoying, but somehow algorithmically they pick good spots to insert in ads so it doesn't break up the scene or whatever else, right? So it's actually a pretty decent experience. Now, again, the whole movie you can't watch uninterrupted because it's going to have ads, but it is available to watch that way for free. So I say all that because that is very beneficial, but it's free to you. Now, if you don't want the ads and you don't mind paying, then of course you can get Love Market and Finding Love in Bogota on Amazon, right? For a small fee, you can rent or purchase the movie, and boom, that really helps support those movies and therefore me and all the artists that worked on those. The books are available as electronically or in print. You can get those on Amazon, and the first one is called Master Mental Fortitude, which is a creative coaching book with 35 different lessons. And then the second one is a fiction book that I wrote called Elan Elan. It's a coming-of-age story set in Slovakia, which is where I'm from. So that's the next tier of support if you want to support. The third way you can support me is by subscribing to my Patreon page, patreon.com/PhilSvitek. That is a direct way to financially support what I'm doing. And by extension, going back to making this like kind of full circle, what I'm working on mostly is the Arbiters, right? Yes, I do these videos and certain side projects here and there, but it's all kind of ultimately in the service of that big giant project at the moment. And so by having financial support through Patreon, I can take those funds directly and use it to pay people to continue working on the movie. So what does that look like right now? Just to kind of give you a state of the Arbiters, if you will. So we've completed the development phase overall, where, as far as we're concerned, right? Meaning we have an investor deck, we have a budget, we have the script completed, we have a proof of concept, we have concept art, all the stuff that you would want and need in order to pitch to various people to get the funding. And we've initiated that process and are in various discussions and so forth, but it's a long process and stuff like that. Now, both because of my impatience, but also in an effort to continue to show people that there's forward momentum, and which always makes people a little bit easier to put down money, is we've been storyboarding the feature film, right? So we're about 25 pages out of 106 pages complete in terms of the storyboarding, and we continue and so forth. Now, I've been doing that myself, right? Funding it. So it's not as fast-paced as it would be if we had full funding, right? But slow and steady is the progress. By subscribing to my Patreon, you allow me to be able to, as I said, take those funds and utilize it towards that and everything else, right? Just right off the bat, just the development phase in and of itself is very costly. There's legal fees, airfare because you have to meet with investors and other people face to face, and all kinds of things, right? And that's not to mention, as I said, the storyboarding part that I'm working on. So having those funds would greatly help to continue that effort. And while it's not an official thing, I have shared the various things that I can here and there on Patreon, right? It's just offering a behind-the-scenes look, like just some concept art. In fact, the 20-minute behind-the-scenes making of our proof of concept, that's there. So you get access to that. Now, here's the cool part. If you want to also just watch that, what Patreon has allowed any creator to do is to sell a post for a certain amount of money. So if you just want to watch that, you can pay $30, and I'll link to it in the description, but you can pay $30 and you can watch that and get a glimpse of what the Arbiters is all about and how we made the proof of concept, and by extension, you can kind of see how we might be thinking about the full feature film and stuff like that, right? So yeah, in a nutshell, I know that's like a lot of things and to kind of consider and things like that, but I just wanted to offer up various options. But if I had to summarize this entire video, listen, just at the end of the day, the fact that you support me in any sort of way is a tremendous thank you, and that is a gift in and of itself that is not lost on me. So, continue just consuming, share it, and if you want to be, kind of financially support me, there's ways to do that, right? So, I've put all these things in the description, so that way you can see it in a written form, and it also has the link, so that way it's just an easier way to access it. But in general, also, continue supporting indie art, whatever it is, whether it's an indie painter, musician, filmmaker, author, doesn't matter. Whoever you know in your life, or just like in your life, support them. As I said, I truly appreciate that you continue to support them. Thank you, and I'll see you